Hello and welcome back to my live. A couple of things I need to start off with. Princess Jax, I need to say a really big thank you and I need to apologize to you because you became a member the other day and I missed it and I only picked it up when I was going through my memberships because I thought I got this count and I was trying to work out where the extra member came from. So I really want to thank you for joining and I apologize I didn't acknowledge it beforehand. And to be Trigger, it's your birthday today, and what I do with everybody that has a birthday on the stream, here we go. Happy birthday to you, happy to you, happy birthday to be Trigger, happy 2010, happy birthday to you. There we go. So everybody who has a birthday on my stream gets sung to. So I even got it in one breath. So there we go. So so there's been a couple of hotspots in Victoria now because those lovely little removalists that moved somebody from New South Wales to Victoria and then did a load from Victoria to South Australia. They weren't following COVID procedures and they have, So there's also hotspots in South Australia too now. So they're not in our good books. So today I thought I would leave it just all open. We're just going to have a general chat. I know that some people want to talk about Friendly Geordie's documentary, which I think, hello Shelley, hello Jean, which I'm happy, which we need to talk about. But I know that also lots of people want to talk about Katie Joy, so it's going to be all, it's going to be a free to all. How did they get into Victoria? John Fox says apparently they had a permit. So anyway, so yes. Hello Jean, hello Shelley, hello Marmaduke. Yes, so please make sure you hit the like button as well. That is great. So just another update for you. I was back at my doctor today and I've got a course of antibiotics for my ear and another course of antibiotics as well. So I'm trying to attack it from both sides. But he thinks that there's some fluid in my ear that needs to come out. And so I have to now go see a ear doctor. So I've got to make that appointment now to see an ear doctor because I tell you what, the ringing in my ear is causing me a whole lot of grief at the moment. So, and I've just got to keep taking pain relief at the moment. So, yeah. So that's what we need to do. They got in before we did the official border close, John. I noticed that WA are not letting any of their citizens back in either. So, yeah. Enjoy. I've had ringing in my ear. It's horrible. It's Trigger Happy's birthday today. Although it's actually, yeah. So, so that's what's so that's what's going on with me. I've had a really busy day today. I've barely been home. So I've been again at the church helping out there, and we went from having no food to having our pantries overflowing. So yeah, you've had ringing my see. I couldn't do it. No, it's actually not gone away, Jean. That's the thing. It's actually not gone away. So it's been there. It would get to a point with the antibiotics, where I've had the antibiotics, and then the doctors said, well, we can't keep attacking it with antibiotics. We have to see if we've got to have a bit of time off it. And then it flared up worse. But now he's going to send me to an to a ENT, and ear, nose, and throat doctor, to make sure that they're, whatever's going on can be fixed. But yeah. So I also wrote to the uni today to say that the anxiety was gripping me to go back face to face. Yeah, and that I was willing to give it a go, but if I couldn't deal with it, then I would want to go back to remote. So I haven't said I don't want to do it. I've just said I haven't played in front of other people for nearly 18 months, so it's a bit daunting. Need platypus antibiotics, yeah. So anyway, we'll just see what happens. So now I'm going to link it down here, but FriendlyJorides did a documentary about water. I didn't. Yeah, I've got to go see an ENT. Yes, I did sing Happy Birthday. That's all right. It was right at the start. That's all right. So Jordan Shanks actually did a documentary with Helen Dalton about a water theft issue in the Darling Basin of Australia. How farmers up the top end or in the northern part get all the rain and they're siphoning all the water in, and the people down the bottom don't get it. And yeah, and they've done that, and it was very quite shocking, particularly to hear the effect on the local area, the wildlife. So I've got that to play because I think we need to get that issue out there so we can look at that. But what's interesting is he talks about John Barilaro very, very briefly, and I thought at one point, I wonder whether they're going to, Brazzers legal team are going to try and pin this, say that he was defaming him again. Then, of course, we've got the whole Katie Joy. I don't know what's happening there. I've just seen my Twitter, and my Twitter feed has just gone crazy with everything. And I heard that she did a live today on the Sophie issue. I just don't know what's going on. I have tonsillitis. Oh, wow. That's interesting. I said to my doctor, I also said, he's a reasonably new doctor to the practice, and I've been seeing him because I haven't been able to get in to see my own, and he's funny, and I said to him, I said, oh, all these things, I said, I just cannot seem to be getting better. I said, I seem to be getting worse. What's going on? What's wrong with me? And he goes, you're getting old. Thank you. Hello, Jewel. You love the community? That's what I love too. Great, thank you. Well, Trigger, I want a community so it doesn't matter what we talk about, that everybody is welcomed and feels welcomed, and we've definitely welcomed and embraced the FriendlyJorides people. Introduced you to Katie Joy. Hello, Julianne. Yes, it was supposed to come out when just before Christo got arrested. So do you think that was all planned to stop him from doing it? I was told FJ got legal advice before making the documentary. So yeah, he covered his bar. Hello, a couple of sandwiches. How are you? Wow. Bad art tangent. Hello, bad art tangent. I came for KJ, but love the Aussie politics. Well, thank you, Princess Jax. I think, yeah, as I said, I'm really not interested in. She's just not really boring and really predictable at the moment. And yeah. Hello, Plan to Create. Well, to be honest, that they won't be thanking us for introducing them to KJ. Well, we've got a new case study. We're doing it as case studies now. Timing was questionable. Yeah. Aha! Ballistic. Ah. I'm ready to dress up as a Polly and act for Jordan. Are you? Cool. So let's reverse things. So let's first of all start off with KJ because FriendlyJorides documentary is an hour long. So I'll save. I want to go through that documentary and say a few things. I want to give you some of my opinions. So let's talk about KJ and other things that are going on at the moment. I have noted that the Prime Minister did a press conference with the New South Wales Premier and has offered a financial package. The documentary was great. Yes, it was a couple of sandwiches. It was great. I was really, really shocked. To be trigger happy, I don't really have a lot of rules in place either. I really give freedom of speech, with the few exceptions that we have, particularly, the few words, but it's the understanding that we all have different points of view and we can all still be friends. We can disagree and still be friends at the end of the day. There aren't a lot of channels that do that. There are a lot of channels that you get blocked from for having a different point of view. But I think a healthy debate is very important. Yeah. So anyway. Yeah. So these are the rules. I'll put the rules up here. The rules are really, really easy. So that's all. They're only my rules. In fact, you know what? I'll pin them to the top. So, yep, I'll pin them. And that's it. That's all there is. Be kind to each other. I know I had someone that dropped one of the banned words the other day and got really upset because I'd been kicked out. What did they say? That I was ruining their freedom of speech or something. Here for my cup of tea, no drama, mummy here. Hello, me more dragon. Yeah, we just don't say. That's right. If you don't say the poo word, you're fine. That's right. Just don't say the poo word. So for all those people that have been following the Katie Joy, let's have a chat about what's happening there. So we know that she got mentioned in the lawsuit with from Tardy as being as having Swanson as a source. Your rules, my channel, my rules. Yeah. So she's just been exploding and imploding. Everything has been a very, very big deal. In fact, she's calling out lots of stuff. And again, I'll try not to swear. I'm probably going to get timed out, though. So what's everyone making about the implosion at the moment? For those of you who haven't been following it, don't worry, you haven't missed much. We're just seeing everybody getting called out. We're seeing she's getting she's got spies everywhere taking screenshots. Don't be surprised. You might find on Twitter one day one of your comments is put on Twitter and you're told that you're a troll. Seriously. mean, who does that? Katie Joy, Miss Obvious. It's a train wreck. It is a train wreck that we can't stop looking at. Let's be honest. So she's got people taking screenshots in various chats and in various things, and then she's posting it on all her social media and saying this person's a troll, this person's been stalking me for 2 years, this person's da 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 da, and it's very, very bizarre. You are a vile person, KJ. Screenshot that. She won't find your Twitter. The interesting thing is, well, so far, as I said, I've sort of stopped talking about her as in a lot of ways. But it's funny because a lot of creators stop talking about her, and it's like she's not happy that people aren't talking about her, so she's trying to make her own. She's trying to make the drama so that people talk about her again. That's my opinion. Well, that's right, Gail. She's got spies everywhere. I'm certain she's got sock accounts. I made one comment on Twitter, and I was told I was a troll when I said she was being inconsistent and it wasn't healthy. That's all right, Christy. I said, with all due respect. I started the sentence with all due respect and got blocked. So, and I said, with all due respect, I think you will find was the way I phrased the sentence, and I was blocked. You've met it. Wow. Very good. Yeah, so I think Christy, she's creating the drama because she wants to keep being talked about. How many creators have said we're not going to talk about KJ anymore? How many creators has said, a lot of creators, including myself. That's my opinion also, says Princess Jace. But the issue that I have with her receipts is she shows edited screenshots and says this is fact. Where's the headers on the screenshot? I'll believe a screenshot if I see you told her she was a bad parent and got blocked. Well, if the thing is, if you told me totally clueless, if you said that to me, I'd probably agree with you. Because, I think at some stage that we all are. Of course, she has socks accounts and her ride and dies are everywhere. It is disgusting. Yes. Is that the documentary? We're gonna look at the documentary. Yeah. So that's what I reckon. Oh, really? Oh, you commented on Saltsy's tweet? Oh, dear. Cool. Well, and the interesting thing is, I'm actually in that Discord. So, KJ, if you want to call me out, go for it. I'm in that Discord, and the two people that she's called out, one of them's been moving house and hasn't been there for ages. I think she's feeling left out. I really do think she's feeling left out. I think you're right, Christy. I think she's feeling left out. Particularly that the fact. Yes, it is crazy. Let's have a look. Do we go to Twitter or do we go to Insta? I haven't seen Instagram. Let's have a look at her Instagram. She did 2 Instagram lives the other. She did a YouTube live today, monetizing the Sophie Long incident. But it's been a mess, to be honest with you. I was so glad I wasn't actually home at one point in time because I didn't have to worry about it all. Yeah, that's right. She does different things on Instagram. So her Instagram's mainly about Sophie Long. Now, I've actually been trying to verify all of this stuff, and I haven't been able to do it. So I'm in the Discord too. Yeah, that's all right. So Peter, she can go after both of us, hey? So this is one of her things. What guy are doing in that Discord is disturbing, sounds borderline illegal. No wonder you all show up asking about deleted comments. You should be ashamed of yourself. This is next level stalking, and your harassment in my chats is now clear. This says more about you than me. You are violating my members' lives with your sick obsession. I didn't know that her members did lives. The fact you are stalking my members is beyond disturbing. You should be in jail. So this is Meet the Disturbed admin of the Discord of Reddit, who is itemizing all of my social media in a spreadsheet. She's botting my tweets, creating a spreadsheet for all of my comments, making a list of all my members. She's sick and disturbed human. She's a stalker-like. She's sick and disturbed that is stalker-like and obsessive. The length this woman has gone to harass my followers and members is next level. All of you involved in this will be exposed for your horrific actions. None of you are safe from being called out, and people are no longer protecting you. There you go. However, it's not actually against the law. Says, and then this is Kai and Litz. Can you tell me how hypercritical and obnoxious your rules are? Observations about appearance are tolerated as long as they're thoughtful and promote healthy conversations. So wondering how the screenshot on the right promotes healthy dialogue. Also, your Reddit frequently calls me a diaper butt. You constantly mock my crooked chin, thinning hair, and receding hairline. How does this not break your rules? You are a bunch of bullies and harassers. You are cancelled and hypocrites. So the reason why I think looking at it's about the fact that she doesn't it's interesting. Yeah, I know, because spreadsheets, but we know that you have to try and you have to write down everything she says with a date, because the next day she'll deny that she said the thing the day before. Hence why. And then this is about Sophia. I don't really want to be on there for too long because I don't really want to. She uploaded the pictures of herself from the Reddit. So now she's saying Sophie Long is missing. A report was filed today. Confirmed the report was made in a statement to me. Since person's report. Now, this is interesting because this video, I know for a fact, was not her calling. It was somebody else calling. She actually has a text message. She actually sent a text message to confirm. Yes, I know. She has a folder on everybody. She does have a folder. Remember the folder that she had was on the Duggars one day when she showed us her screen? Accidentally? Yes. So, yeah, it's bizarre. It really is bizarre. Look, I don't know about Soph. I heard that he was supposed to hand her over, but then I've read other stuff to say that he had custody of it. So I don't really know. For me, there's too much inconsistencies. Your ears are hurting, Gail, already? Yeah, I don't want to stoop to KJ's level. Yeah. So we will be off this we'll be off this topic shortly and then go on to the next one, which is friendly Geordies. But yeah, so headphones not working. Hope your folder is But she was in, I don't know whether you noticed, she was in Unirock's chat yesterday. She was in Unirock's chat yesterday, as was Toad, and because he was bagging Steve McRae, and she tried to turn the attention onto her by saying that her and Salts are working together, and etc., 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 and that she's been stalked, and a lot of Unirock's people were feeling sorry for her too, saying how mean and horrible the anti-KJ community is. And then Toad came in to say that he was just observing. And then he asked the question and she answered it, so I figure that they don't talk. So anyway, that's what's happening there. But I just wait to see what happens tomorrow. The Twitter, as I said, Twitter's going quite berserk. Yes, she is trying to name drop Salts, but if she doesn't, and the interesting thing is she cannot talk about the Westbrook, the new lawsuit with Westbrook and Swanson, because she is the star witness. You know, a lot of the stuff that they've said in that lawsuit came from her. So she's got herself inserted very deep into that lawsuit, whether she wanted it or not. And she's going to be in big doo-doo, I think, because she's going to they're going to want to cross-examine her. I think you're right. I mean, that's what I would say, John. Is her and Salts aren't working together. She giving the statement as a grass. That's right. She's a grass. I don't think she in one of her lives the other day she said she didn't like the term snitch because everyone's been calling her a snitch. What's her Twitter? She's got two handles. She's got WOACB official, and what's the other one? I know I'm blocked on one, but not on the other. She's a snitch, says Don. And the other one is what is it called? There's so many parody accounts. It's so funny. I'll be blocked. Yeah, probably I will be blocked now. It probably is true. And the other one is Katie Joy, WOACB. Oh no, I've just doxed her. Oh no, I just put her Twitter handle out there. Oh look, it'll be a matter of time before she blocks everybody. Let's face it, hey? We know that. Who is the real KJ? I don't know. I come for the company mostly. Yeah. Daniel Andrews has just made a statement. So this is what he said. Everybody in Australia believes that people in Sydney and New South Wales deserve every possible support as they battle a second wave and a long lockdown. But Victorians are rightly sick and tired of having to beg for every scrap of support from the federal government. It shouldn't take a crisis in Sydney for the Prime Minister to take action, but we are seeing the same double standard time and time. His job is not to be the Prime Minister of New South Wales. We had to shame the federal government into doing their job and providing income support for Victorian ward workers when we battled the Delta strain earlier this year. Their position at the time was a disgrace. If they'd bothered to think about this at the time and work with Victoria, they'd already have a practical framework in place when New South Wales went into lockdown, and more people would have got the support they needed earlier. How's that for casting shade? So, yeah. So that's the Premier Victoria. She says she's got the FBI involved. Hello, Selena. And then there's another tweet here by somebody in the media that says, I am told that Tim Pallay, that's all right. So the Victorian Treasurer, where's my, it's not sharing it yet. It says Tim Pallay was very helpful in offering advice to Dom Perriott in putting together today's lockdown rescue package. It seems, in the shadows at least, federalism is not entirely dead. So Victoria actually helped New South Wales put together their package for support for the people. So it's good that Victoria is actually helping New South Wales government. Yes, I saw Michael West's video. It was very, very good. Very good. Yeah. That's right. They spent 6 weeks, and the thing is, they didn't need to spend all that time having goes. They were really naive, and one of the points that I wrote in my university email about being hesitant to go back to face-to-face is that since I wrote the email, we've got 5 cases in the state now that have come from New South Wales. It could be quite possible that the whole country could go back into lockdown. It is quite possible. And then what? So I have my doubts. I'm just not confident that I will get a full semester if I went back. That's all. So, but let's face it, I don't really want to have to get dressed. Well, as a Victorian, I understand what he's saying because, yes, So I'm for. I know. I just love being in my PJs all day. PJs will wear out more quickly. Yeah, I know, but then I don't have to worry about. I don't have to worry about what to wear. So I subbed from 3 channels. So, Ginger Lee, did you say you're unsubbed from 3 channels? Oh, yeah. The amount of fighting is unhealthy. Yeah, and you know what? And the thing is, Ginger Lee, I've got no intention of even going in and picking a side or saying who's right or who's wrong. I just cannot be bothered. I can't. I've got enough to worry about without getting involved in that stuff. So well, I actually was watching a stream today, and they were talking about someone called Joe, and I got this distinct impression that I was being confused with UK Joe. So that was just the impression that I got. So yeah, no drama. All we're having is we just debate over politics. Me too. I sew my PJs all day. Yes, they too. I wonder what my neighbours think. My neighbours are used to see me. They're used to see me in my PJs and my bed socks. Who is UK Joe? That's a very interesting question. I know that they were talking about UK Joe, but I've had a whole heap of people unsub for me. I've lost 25 subs in the last 2 weeks, Princess Jats. So I know she was, I think she flip-flopped. I actually don't know much about her other than when I first started doing my streams, I was getting abused, and I was actually getting abused by people, and I actually had to say to people that I wasn't her. So I had that when I first started. So I just don't know. I can't help but wonder, because she's back being talked about, whether they just see me and they go, oh, that's her. But anyway, it's just what's happened. So all I do is I just got to keep being myself. Yes. I believe the thumbnail and headline does make a difference, but I'm not also into clickbaiting either. So I am not. I in fact, I was going to make this title. I am Aussie Joe, because at the start you need an Aussie flag. I do probably. Yeah. Hello, Karen Bluebird. Yeah. So when I first started on YouTube, I was getting people messaging me and coming into my stream and telling me, talking about me betraying the community, and it's like, I don't know anything about that. So there was that confusion. But I did actually search her out and had a look, and she's got a very strong English accent. The soccer was won by Italy, and Ash Barty won the tennis match. We also won the wheelchair tennis as well. Dylan Alcott is a champion. Yes, I did start my channel from the KJ community. I was really frustrated, actually. I actually did a video and told my story, how I got involved in the community, what I learned, and then my channel blew up. Oh, and then she called me. Then she did a live stream, and she called me crazy, and she called me out. She said, "There's this chick, Joanne Cochran, and she's crazy, and she stalks me," and my channel blew up. So that's how that happened. But it was never an intention to really have a channel focused on her. It was always about having variety, which is what I'm doing now. I'd rather do stuff. I'm not, change my screen name. Oh, hello. Cheap glass. Perhaps. No, I haven't watched much today. I've been away. Yeah. Most of us are ex-KJs. But there's a lot of people that started out with KJ and they've gone off and done other stuff because it just got crazy. So, get your notepad and pen out to it's getting like that because I've got 5 days at the house this week. It's the first time. No, I'll be nearly 7 days out. I'll nearly have been out. So by the time Sunday comes, I will have spent every day out of the house in over 18 months, and it's scary. So, well, I would like to think that people would stick to it because it's a pretty cool. You see, I've tried to build a community rather than topics, so I've tried to make it more community. Ash Barty she's very humble. Humility, yeah. He is a legend. I actually have met him, and I had my photo taken with him. He was at my uni, so where my uni is a recording studio. It's actually a working recording studio with half of it as classes. The other half is a recording studio, and he was actually going to record something. He was there to record something, and I happened to meet him and had my picture with him. What type of community? I don't know. I like a fun community, an open community. Like what I've got now is perfect. The community I've got now is perfect. I'd be more than happy for it to stay this way. It does me more dragon. That's really what I like. And there are multiple conversations going on because there's people talking about the doco that I'm going to talk about soon. I know your work sponsors him too, yeah. There's people we've been talking about New South Wales and Victoria. We're talking about multiple things and at once. That's right. Well, that's right. How many channels get big laughs from Canadian politicians? Correct, usually. And don't forget also, what other communities do people get their own pictures? Look, I do think I had, I know it's confusing, but just decided to change it. I love Joe's chat. So thank you. Good for your mind. I like intelligent talks, actually. Where did everyone go? Praise be to the might and glory of our Lord and Saviour John Barilaro. Blessed. What? Naked Canadian politicians. I know, EC. We'll have to get Osbel. Osbel's doing them, so I haven't seen her tonight. But she'll every now and then just, send me a random picture. So I can't draw. So hello, Jenna, sweet tea. Oh. So before I change the topics officially, I want to tell you. So I was back at the church today doing because we had a relief worker to do our only social outing outlet. Yeah, me too, actually. Because we had a person filling in for the welfare relief. Anyway, so I had to be there to let them in and let them and lock up. But it was a full-on day. Anyway, we were looking at the pantry and going, oh, it's really bare. I don't know how we're going to, do hampers today. Don't know how it's going to happen. And 2 of the local churches came with boxes of food that they had collected and filled the pantry. It was amazing. Oh, he wasn't showing off show off his maple leaf. I don't know what his maple leaf was like. I wasn't interested. All right. So I'm going to show you, we're going to go through this documentary now. This is called Blood Water, The War for Australia's Water. I knew that there was all this talk about the Murray-Darling Basin, and I heard that there was issues with it. I didn't realise the extent of it. Hello, Pearl Girl. I didn't realise the extent of it, and this is really actually very embarrassing, I believe. And I cannot believe that this is even allowed to happen. What? What am I doing? What am I doing? How did I get to that? Oh, you're talking about maple leaf. Okay. Oh, Pearl Girl. I'm trying to keep up with everything. Oh, sometimes I do like eating lettuce sandwiches. All right. So what I'm also gonna ask you to do is also go to his YouTube channel and give it a like. So search for FriendlyJorides. So go to FriendlyJorides and give his video a like. It's had 184,000 views. Also, there's a few websites that he lists here, particularly the Australians. There's a parliamentary inquiry happening, and we need to get this talked about. So he's got an address there for the parliamentary inquiry submissions, which is really, really important. Here it is here. So on floodplains, on floodplain harvesting. So it's actually been chaired by the Greens. It's got to shooters, fishers, and farmers. Yeah, FriendlyJorides is his name. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So management of floodplain harvesting. So this is, first of all, I had no idea what floodplain harvesting was. You're going to learn about it, and then I'm going to be interested. So let's go through this. I'll stop it and we'll have a commentary. But I had my jaw open a couple of times with this. So this is FriendlyJorides. This is the person we're following. This is, for those of you that don't know, this is the guy that's been sued by Bruz, and you'll see why he is a threat to Bruz and why Bruz is trying to silence him.
It is amazing. All these It is amazing. Look at all these airports where that is the only plane. Isn't that incredible? We are so remote that not even Rex Regional Air comes here. What are these airports built for? Just in case Gina Reinhardt wants to come here and be like, are you doing your job? Yes.
Yes, AC, I'm going to play it and stop a bit through it, because I think that's what we need to. Because I can play it if we have commentary, but if you want to watch it without me talking, you'll have to go to his site.
Okay, I'm just going to go back to WA. Water. You can't live with it, you can't live without it. Oh wait, sorry, I mean you can't live without it. That's why I found the Murray-Darling Basin plan such a fascinating topic, because the politicians and bureaucrats currently in charge of the plan seem to believe that people and industries and entire ecosystems can in fact live without water. So the purpose of this documentary is, I guess, to prove a very radical thesis that, people can't live without water. And to achieve this difficult objective, we met our friend Chris Brooks, farmer and chair of Southern Riverina Irrigate.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be funny too. It actually is very good. To me, this adds credence to journalism.
And took an aerial tour of the Murray-Darling Basin. We visited a bunch of basin communities and stakeholders to see how water mismanagement has been affecting them. First things first, to get this, Jocko, you're going to have to understand one thing. Water is a commodity. Water has been decoupled from land in this country, which means anyone can buy water rights. This makes water like stop. It's tradable. Ostensibly, the reason for this market is to account for water taken from the environment and to keep that.
That shocked me that people can buy water and control the water. That was really, really scary.
Capped under a certain amount. So if you hear the word cap, that's the amount of water that can be taken from the environment and used for irrigation. But just think about this. There's a water market, and like any other market, players can manipulate the market for their own material gain. The scary thing about a water market, though, is sometimes manipulating the market means causing ecological, social, and economic catastrophe, the likes of which Australia has never seen. And that's where the National Party comes in.
Remember, that's where Braz is the leader of the National Party. Need to get going. Nice to catch up with you, Joanne, and chat. Peace on. Barnaby has shares in water. Has he? That wouldn't surprise me. There he is, Barnaby. I know. It's amazing. It is amazing, Jean. That is terrible about water. I know. Yeah. It's not on the stock market. It's sold like a stock market. So, so the people that own the water can charge everybody else whatever they like. All right. So the Nationals is Braz's party.
You'll see in this documentary, it's the National Party that dictates water policy in this country, and underneath them, it's networks.
There's Braz. There he is. There's Braz himself. Well, in fact, Gail, as you'll find out in this documentary, they actually own a lot of the water, believe it or not. In America, we just started to put water on the futures commodities market. It's very scary because you already have giant corporations getting in on the water market. So the water is actually, there's one of the Chinese own a big chunk of the water, and therefore this water harvesting. But anyway, yeah, it's freaky. This scares me.
Webs of patronage that dictate National Party policy. Sorry to get so dystopian so quickly, but it's only going to get worse. So let's get worse. Foreign companies can own water in this country, but don't worry, they're held to a very different standard to Aussie farmers. A lower one. Foreign companies don't have to pay capital gains tax on the profits they make trading water. Want an example of why this is bad? Well, we flew over Cubby Station, the largest irrigation property in the Southern Hemisphere, and it's majority owned by Shandong Ryu, a Chinese textile giant. Cubby owns enough water to fill 184,000 Olympic swimming pools.
See that? Australia has an ugly legacy of denying water rights to Aboriginal people. Not much has changed. So it says across 10 catchments in the New South Wales portion of the Murray-Darling Basin, the Aboriginal people collectively hold just 12.1 gigalitres of water. That's to a mere 0.2% of all surface water. Yeah. Yeah, so it's water trading. It's disgusting.
38 times the amount of water that the basin's entire Indigenous community own. That's just one Chinese company. Cubby is positioned in a pretty convenient spot, upstream near Dirranbandi in southern Queensland, right at the top of the Murray-Darling Basin, meaning that when there's any significant rain events upstream, Cubby prevents a lot of that water reaching downstream. Think this is bad? It gets worse again, because despite how economically and environmentally damaging Cubby Station is, it appears their water use is legal. Slightly downstream, this is not the case for many other cotton farms. You understand why this.
So what happens is all the people upstream are hogging all the water, and the water's not getting downstream. So all the farmers downstream are experiencing drought.
So you've got to understand another concept, floodplain harvesting. Think about it like this. If Bitcoin's the water entitlements, a speculative abstract asset for most, floodplain harvesting is a little like Bitcoin mining if it were way worse for the environment. Actually, bad analogy. Way of putting it, floodplain harvesting is a method of water theft, full stop. Basically, farms divert water that would naturally flow into the basin into private dams. This water can be later used for irrigation, usually to irrigate profitable yet water-intensive crops like cotton. This means floodplain harvesters, in theory, can save all their legal entitlements, not using a drop for irrigation, instead treating those water licenses like stocks to speculate on. They can then use the unaccounted floodplain harvested or stolen water to irrigate their cotton, making water scarcer and their licenses, or as I like to call them, stocks, more valuable.
So that's what happens. So they're diverting the water into all of this and whatever's there. Why are people on island fighting over water? There's not enough, unfortunately.
Who'd have thought that the drought would be so profitable, eh? It turns out most of these floodplain harvesting cotton farms are located in the northern basin, which means, again, like Cubby, all the water is being taken upstream. Nothing is going downstream. Our pilot Chris had first-hand experience with this fact. In 2018, his crops died due to the fact that he had no water allocation for his farm in Garuda, southern New South Wales.
The volume of water being taken by people in the north without a licence, this floodplain harvesting has been allowed to go unchecked, period. And John Howard actually made the statement in 1994 it was to be capped. And these people have refused to comply with any measurement or metering or granting of licences. They've just continued unabated to expand storages and collect massive volumes of water that, to such an extent that they've stopped the Darling River from flowing.
Most of Australia is a desert. We do have plenty of fresh water per population if we stop growing the wrong crops and selling massive amounts to corporations, correct? And this is what this documentary is about, calling this out.
It's having a disastrous effect on everyone downstream. And that's where a large volume of our water is disappeared.
This issue is a fine primer that will give you an idea of just how much moral and legal dexterity there is in the world of water. Floodplain harvesting is a practice that the New South Wales government itself has characterised as illegal. Almost all reputable legal professionals believe it's illegal. The line the National Party and its allies are taking is essentially, well, technically it's not illegal, but pretty please, can you let us legalise it?
When you've got towns all the way down the Darling with no water, because the well-connected guys in the north can use their political persuasion.
See, I am just surprised that the people down at the lower end, there's no water. One of the guys actually talks about how they actually had to ship water in from use bottled waters for 6 months because there was no money and no water. How?
To get water first and foremost, they can take first grab, they take the lot, they don't pay for it. And as we've proven with if you look at the legal opinions that we've paid to have drafted, it's not complying with the Basin Plan or even the New South Wales Water Management Act. So you have to ask the question, why do these guys think they have the right to shut off water to communities like Warriner and all the downstream towns, well, Kenya right to Wentworth?
You see, none of the parties are innocent in this matter. They've all got blood on their hands. Watch YouTube streams of influence who wash every dish under running water. Not a care in the world. All right, see a couple of sandwiches.
Why do they have the right to kill fish and to wipe out, Indigenous people's food supply and all the native animals along the track?
In order to understand the perspective of these public farmers, I sat down with Claire Miller, CEO of the New Wales Irrigators Council and staunch defender of floodplain harvesting.
Now, when you're talking about on-farm storages, the reason there are so many on-farm storages in those northern valleys is because they don't have the great big public storages to water and hold it and then distribute it out to everybody that they have down in the southern basin. So farmers have been encouraged to put the storage on their properties so that
But who's encouraging them?
That's been the government over the last 30, 40 years. Yeah.
But it just seems like such a bad thing to encourage if it's like questionably legal.
No, wait a minute.
Questionably. I did say questionably.
Huge debate.
Reason away from the DPIEs. It's fairly
And we can provide you with the press release picking up, where there's ambiguity. It should be settled in favour of. We can go backwards and forwards.
Yeah, to be fair, you're happy to go backwards and forwards when you have legal advice that supported your argument.
That's Christo in the background. So remember, Christo was arrested by the Goon Squad. So that's Christo. In fact, he got an interview with the CEO's legend. He did bring multiple perspectives. Yes, AC, he did.
Then legal advice came back and was hidden by behaviour just released now, and it kind of washes your argument. You're kind of appealing to end legal like that. Isn't that a bit hypocritical?
Stand by our legal advice, also recently.
It's recent, Gail. It was recently done. It was supposed to be released a while ago. Oh, but Christo got arrested, so it got delayed by about 3 weeks. If you get water, they can take it back. Goon Squad, perfect, yes.
Stand by their legal advice.
This legal advice that Claire is dismissing as ambiguous is internal department advice that states, on balance, and while not without doubt, we think the better view is that generally the taking of water in the course of floodplain harvesting without an access licence from an unregulated river water source that is covered by a water sharing plan would constitute an offence. Also, there's comments from a department official acknowledging that it's illegal. It seems that everyone behind closed doors knows it's illegal. But even if I extended all the courtesy in the world and disregarded legal opinion and just pretended that floodplain harvesting was legal, is it right? Marianne
So this is the whole thing. Just because it can be done, should you do it? And this is part of a lot of my stuff with Katie Joy, to be quite perfectly honest. Just because she has been given documents or videos, is it right that she shows them? Or just because somebody's a public figure, is it right to show all the dirt? This is why Helen got in. Yeah, you'll see Helen Dalton in this. So just because something is not legal doesn't make it right,
Slattery is an ex-director of the Murray-Darling Basin Authority. Now she's a water researcher and director of water consultancy firm Slattery and Johnson. Her research was responsible for uncovering the huge proliferation of on-farm storages, i.e. floodplain harvesting facilities, finding that these storages had increased by 140% since 1994. Do you think that floodplain harvesting exacerbated the drought?
If you mean it's floodplain harvesting where there's less water downstream and make the impact of the drought happen earlier and happen for longer downstream, then yes, absolutely. And nobody can argue that's not the case because it's just a hydrological reality. The more water you take upstream, the less water you've got downstream. And even if floodplain harvesting water occurred and it didn't get, got part way down the river, wetted up a dry river bank, maybe it doesn't get all the way to the end. The next time you get an event through, the river bed's that much wetter, where the water gets that much further.
Mm.
So, yes, it's just, that's not a controversial statement about whether floodplain harvesting exacerbates the drought. Nobody could argue otherwise.
I just still can't get over.
Yeah, I think so. They should know right from wrong. I was reading somewhere that there's talk that they're going to delay Parliament returning after the winter break because the New South Wales politicians won't be able to attend.
To this point of if there's less water naturally going into the water because of climate change, why allow floodplain harvesting? It's naturally happened into the river for millions of years. Surely it knows where that water should go.
So you would have seen the photos of the last flood that went through in March, that went through Wyler, and you look at that landscape, half of Moree is underwater.
Yeah.
The landscape is a sheet of water.
Yeah.
There's massive amount
Oh, what happened? Whoops, what did I just do? Sorry. Oh, sorry, I don't know what just happened.
It's about lobbying, it's about sleep.
Oh, I lost it. Sorry, I messed that up. Sorry. Come on. Lovely NBN. Bruz did it. This is totally clueless. Bruz did it. You probably did too.
There's massive amounts going through, way more than anyone could possibly capture in the storages that they've got there. It's always important just to understand how much you can actually catch as a proportion of the total volume of water that's going across that landscape. Doesn't it make more
But we had plenty of water for thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years.
sense to catch the water when it's in huge abundance than to be trying to sort of squeeze it out of, the rivers when it's dry? And you want to, the more
I'm just thinking maybe from like an agricultural perspective, but surely not from an environmental perspective, because when you walk along those dry river beds, you do see a lot of skeletons of fish.
Oh, yeah, but what I'm saying is that those dry riverbeds are occurring during drought periods. When it floods, they're not dry. Witness what's been happening in the last sort of eight weeks, actually since Christmas, when the thunderstorms first started to come through and this dry period first started to break properly. Those thunderstorms over Christmas in those northern tributaries got the Darling flowing again, which was just fantastic. And then we've had follow-up floods that have kept it flooded.
Oh, that's a good point, though. Totally clueless. Yes, that is a good point. However, they didn't also have more idea than middle-aged white men. Yeah.
The thing is, even after those massive flood events Claire's talking about, there's still not enough water downstream. Menindee is only 2/3 full. Most importantly, floodplain harvesting still happens in fairly dry periods. Now, this entire argument may seem somewhat abstract until you see how much water these cotton farms take, even legally. That's a cotton farm. Green as it gets, and see the body of water next to it? That's a private dam.
So can you see that? That's the cotton farm. That's a private dam with water. Look at everything around it, though. Look at everything around it. That's what surprises me.
This farm is owned by a prominent National Party donor by the name of Peter Harris. In 2017, then National Party MP and New South Wales Primary Industries Minister Noel Blair lobbied hard to have the Barwon-Darling water sharing plan altered, all to retrospectively justify a decision his department made a year earlier to grant Harris extra water rights. The following year, Harris was charged with water theft for illegally extracting water from the Barwon and operating pumps without working meters. He was convicted for the former, but not for operating pumps without working meters. Here are his pumps in hand. Sure hope those meters are working, Peter. Even if they are, there's something off about that amount of cotton. But this is just one example we see on the way to Brewarrina, a northern basin town on the Barwon River that has been extremely affected by cotton farming. Brewarrina Mayor Phil O'Connor has seen the effects that cotton has had on his community. He doesn't seem to buy the line that the Irrigators Council and National Allies are selling.
Yes, that's right. Because the water's not going down. It seems like the water's not going downstream. So they're trying to get the water from upstream. Not really.
Reckons the place is seeing better days. So would this start deteriorating?
When cotton came to the country.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And when was that?
Oh, it was in the early 80s, late 70s, and probably earlier in some places. But the tearing of these river systems, and I don't care who listens to it or whatever, and since that's happened, the greed and the corruption of these rivers has just been filthy since that's happened.
Well, give me an idea of that.
Well,
What's the corruption look like?
well, just the greed, and that goes with it a lot, is the corruption side of it. Because how much do some people want? They might have a water allocation to grow, 300 hectares of crop, whatever that might be. And once people get a taste of how much wealth that can be obtained by having more and more and more of this crop, it just seems to get ingrained into them that they've got to have more. And a lot of people have said to me, and it's not me just saying this, but a lot of people in the past, they said, you only got to grow one crop of cotton, then that person's changed forever. And I'll tell you what, I've seen that.
What does that mean?
Well, where people probably before they got involved in how much money you can make for doing so little, and with the detriment to everything around and the community's all, along this river system of what you can just gain and get out of it. Of course, it costs a lot of money to do that as well, but to what the benefit is out of it and, the spruik of the amount of money that people make these days out of growing cotton has just been the detriment to these rivers, and it's just so obvious living on them all your life, and there's probably not too many that have got the guts to say that. But anyway, I'll say it. I don't care that I do.
Having just flown over hectares.
So, yeah, as I said, look at the green. All right.
Hectares upon hectares of green cotton farms now flying over the lakes that were once dubbed the Kakadu of the South. It's really hard to sympathise with the perspective of multi-millionaire cotton irrigators. To keep the cotton fields green, the Indian lakes have become.
So look how little water that's got in it. Look at that. So this was March. To answer your question, Gail, that was filmed in March by the looks of it.
Green from blue-green algae. Water rarely gets down to Menindee, but when it does, it's drained. Why? So more water can go to the environment. Get that logic? No one does. But that's the Ouroboros thinking that infests water policy in this country. Badger Bates is a Barkanji elder who's had more experience with the basin than any of the city-based politicians running it. He's not afraid to be vocal in his criticisms.
They've taken all the water up here, and it's not just from these rivers, from the dam, the Moree and all that. Floodplain harvesting is still killing this part. This is the Barker, right, the Darling River. So you need more water to come in. Okay, it's just like this table. If I got this table and it was clay, and I put a mark down like that, then draw all the rivers up here and put this mark down. There is other little tributaries that come in, little creeks, we call them out here, and you put all the little marks on this table, on this piece of paper, and you put water and lift it, it'll all run into one little place. And that's what's happening with the floodplain harvesting, because they're taking all the water from the river and killing this river. Nothing breeds much. And if you got something dead, that's where you get blue-green algae.
So what he's saying, so the water that they do get is full of algae. Hello, Razorburn. Yeah. I won't be surprised whether Brazz's lawyer will try to put this up as an attack on him too, by the way.
It's just not moving, right?
Badger rejects any assertion that what's happening to the basin is the natural state of affairs and unpreventable, pointing out how long and well the Barker has survived, up until now.
Megafauna is at Menindee. Again, these giant kangaroos.
Yeah.
So it's there.
Yeah.
It's proven again that the Barker is there. And if you go up the river from Vulcania, up around the Tilpa, before you get to Berg, again, in the Barker itself, we are finding fossils, snakes and crocodiles and all that, and giant emus in the Barker. We can't say where the name is because people...
Yeah, people in a country, people in the country do speak a bit different. Yeah. Oh, Razorburn, that's okay. Yeah, I want to share it. We need to get this out.
They're going clear, but they're in the Barker. And the scientists are all there.
So Pretty much, it's just evidence that the water system has stayed intact for at least 100,000 years, probably millions. And then in 10 years, it's pretty much dead.
It's gone.
Roger's right. Ecologists contend that because of the overuse of water, areas of the basin are grappling with an ecological step change.
So every ecosystem needs a certain amount of resilience. So Australian ecosystems, natural ecosystems, they've evolved to withstand our extremes of floods and droughts, for example. So one drought or one flood is not going to wipe out a healthy, resilient ecosystem. So ecologists talk about resilience. So you need enough resilience so you can, sort of take a few hits in your ecosystem, and your ecosystem can recover. When you have an ecological step change, it's when one of these,
Particularly the farmers, they quite often speak slightly differently too.
shocks, like a drought, wipes it out, and so we're no longer getting that recovery back when we get the good times with water. So, for example, in Narran Lakes, that's used to a sort of boom or bust drought and flood sort of system. You've got vegetation there that all of the birds, fish, and frog, etc., rely on. And
whoops, this is obvious. Whoopsies. I think it's 26 letters. I think I've got it at. Whoopsies.
And when you've got water there, they grow, they seed, the seeds drop back into the soil. The water goes away. The seeds are there for the next boom cycle. The seed bank's been destroyed. So if you can only survive 5 years or 7 years without water, and it's gone too long without water, next time you get water there aren't the seeds there, the stuff doesn't grow, everything that relies on it collapses. And you've got a changed ecosystem now. Something else will replace it, but it's not going to be the same thing as it.
Do Australians have someone they hated in politics that was a jerk like Trump? Yes. we do.
The strange thing about this destruction is that it's quite a historical anomaly, in that this conflict between floodplain harvesters and everyone else is not going down as some David versus Goliath battle between industry and the environment. The majority of industry is on the side of the environment. Most of Australia's agriculture sector is being hurt by the Nationals' completely lopsided favouring of the cotton industry over every other type of produce. In the 2019 New South Wales state election, Helen Dalton broke decades of coalition incumbency in the southern Riverina seat of Murray from the Nationals. This was on the back of the Nationals further abandoning their traditional base of Aussie farmers and rural communities in favour of cotton farmers and foreign investors. I think the numbers were something along the lines of $2 billion.
Now, this is Helen Dalton. Now, this is not our Australian flag, in case you're wondering. This is the Simpsons flag. So this is from Bart versus Australia, where Australia is to kick him on the butt. And so this is the Simpsons Australian flag. So there we go. So just so that you know.
Worth of cotton that's mostly getting exported overseas anyway, for $25 billion worth of agricultural damage downstream. And that's food.
That's food, yeah.
So are you witnessing this in your electorate, that is actually messing with Australia's food security now?
Of course it is. Absolutely. Well, we're going into a rice harvest now.
Yeah.
We've actually run out of Australian rice.
What?
We did. But you've got to see, within our electorate, we have a lot of processing too.
Yes, I can show some Pauline Hanson, yes.
So that rice gets processed. Well, you saw job losses in Leeton and Deniliquin. There's a couple of hundred job losses. Those people leave town. I mean, the impact on communities is huge because of the processing. The same with dairy. I mean, we've had, I think there were 70 odd dairies around Deniliquin. I think we're now about 20. And so that people leave. We've lost breeding stock. When people leave, kids leave their schools.
gives the government an excuse to downgrade our services, not, downgrade the hospital, the education, there's usually kids leave and say you miss out on educational opportunities that you would have in a bigger school.
Oh, so it's not even just the money that is getting lost in terms of farm production and the job loss, but also then the government says, well, there's just not a population there, so you lose grant.
Yeah, bad luck.
Really?
Yeah, so now, you don't need that now because your school was once 800 kids and now you're only 200.
Mm.
And I know at Finley High, the decline in kids at the high school has been enormous in the last probably 15, 20 years, the same with Deniliquid. So it's just hardship for communities. And then on one hand, the government talks about decentralisation and all of that, and then in the next hand, they're kind of kicking everyone in the guts.
Mm.
So
like shilling it, getting rid of all the infrastructure that could even hold up population to begin with.
Don't spend the money in the out in the bush. Let's just all centralise it. But they talk about decentralisation. So talk's cheap.
One of the measures.
I feel like a lone LNP supporter at times. I just call out, for me, I call out bad policies. If they're bad policies, I will call them out. I don't care whose they are, to be honest with you. Although often I get accused of supporting one party over the other, but I just call out bad policies. If someone makes a meal of something, I'll call it out. So anyway.
Dalton immediately attempted to introduce was a water register, a common sense mechanism that would show who and what owns water in this country. It would bring transparency and shine a light on the players manipulating the water market. So common sense that the king of common sense, Alan Jones, came out swinging for it.
This is always funny when Alan Jones backs or supports something.
Helen Dalton is a farmer, and she won a seat to Parliament at the last election on the basis of water with a swing of over 24%. She has put a bill to the New South Wales Parliament where she seeks transparency on the ownership of water. She wants a register of all those who own water or whose families own water, in particular in relation to politicians, and that is going to be defeated by the Berejiklian government. Now, we have an outfit in this country called Duxton Water. You can Google them. Duxton. They don't own a handkerchief of land, but they own most of the water, and they sell it to farmers when it suits them at whatever inflated price they choose to levy upon the farmer. And this is called a fair dinkum Australia.
That's what I object to.
I don't think so.
The importance of the bill is coupled with the fact mentioned earlier, foreign traders don't have to pay capital gains on the money they make trading Australian.
And I object to that as well. I object to that. Let me just replay that again.
To farmers when it suits them at whatever inflated price they choose to levy upon the farmer. And this is called a fair dinkum Australia. I don't think so.
The importance of the bill is coupled with the fact mentioned earlier, foreign traders don't have to pay capital gains on the money they make trading Australian water. Yet Aussie farmers do.
That sucks badly. In fact, I would prefer it to be the other way around.
We've got some very, very bright kids that want to have a go, want to buy water and land and farm and produce food. They're behind the eight ball because of these, foreign interests, and that could be foreign governments too, owning our water.
Yes, we have capital gains tax issues as well.
Trading the water and not paying tax.
And they do.
And
this isn't theoretical. They do.
No, they do. We've asked the ATO and they go, no, they don't have to. And of course, Minister Pavey approves those licences, and that she should be letting know or talking to the Australian Tax Office and saying, hey, look at this, there's a bit of a gap here. We're giving all these foreigners a free kick to the detriment of our own. Let's look after our own. But that's not, I don't know why they don't do it.
Despite how common sense this bill sounds and how popular it was amongst, everyone, it faced fierce opposition from the Nationals, but only after it faced even fiercer opposition from the New South Wales Irrigators Council. You know Helen Dalton's State Water Register? Why are you against it? It just seems like such a good idea.
No, it's... I think I'd rather have just 2 years instead of 4 in case the president sucks. Like a...
I watch the water market, how it works, pretty closely, and some of the behaviours of some of the big brokers and companies involved in all of that. So I think what she's proposed goes beyond. It basically would put a lot of our mum and dad farms at risk of some of these big brokers and things who, basically they'll know what they own, they'll know what they grow, they'll be on the phone manipulating and trying to badger them. And we, in our membership, we are through them. This is what's the message that's come up from our membership is that they don't want it to be a simple thing of like, you just type in Claire Miller and it pops up everything that Claire Miller owns in water, which, by the way, for the record, I did not own any water entitlements before that conspiracy gets going.
I don't know.
And I never have.
What's this?
We got her there. That was classic. I really like that. That was funny.
And there's already a water register which is searchable, no different to a property register, where if you have the property number you can pay. You can find out all you want to know, but you need to pay.
Just pause it here. The register Claire's talking about is not searchable by name. You need to quote a specific license number, and irrigation corporations aren't on it. So it's really not much use, is it?
$25 to get property titles. It's no different from the water register.
Right.
So it's already, you can find out anything you want if you want to pay for it.
Well, do you want me to go through the conspiracy theories?
Yeah, sure. Go for it. Why not?
Because, really, when you look at it, with water register and floodplain harvesting, it seems like the National Party just takes your guys' recommendations. From like a really superficial glance, which is all I can do, it just looks like that they kind of just take your guys' advice on that, and that kind of becomes what their policy is.
Well, you're sort of saying that somehow we all sit around in some basement smoking cigars and drinking whiskey and cooking up
That is what I'm saying.
No, we don't. We're bipartisan, an apolitical advocacy group. We maintain good relationships right across the whole political spectrum.
Well,
we don't. We are not puppets of the National Party, but neither are they.
No, I think that they're your guys'.
We don't have that much influence.
Right. Well, what are the areas that you guys oppose the National Party in when it comes to water policy? Can you give me some examples of what? No, I'm not being unfair and cutting off an answer. Claire couldn't give an example of where the National Party opposes the Irrigators Council. All right, I'll play the rest just to be fair.
Sorry.
Oh, you're talking about this lady? Yeah, I didn't really like her. I didn't quite understand what she was trying to say. You are truly our little brother. Well, we have tried to copy you in a lot of ways, Will. In my opinion.
On the water register, for example, there's been very broad support across groups to keep the water register as it is now, and also for the ACCC review into water markets, which has also got recommendations around ways to improve transparency and water registers and so forth. So that's what we're relying on, is recommendations from the ACCC on how to make the water market work better and have greater transparency and so forth.
But they're pretty much the only ones that oppose it, though, right?
Sorry?
Like, politically. They're really the only ones that oppose Helen Dalton's water registry, right?
Well, I didn't see the Labor Party rushing to vote for it.
They did, didn't they?
They did. Yeah, they did. They did. The Helen Dalton selling point for the last by-election was based on.
Okay, no, that's fair enough. It's, yeah.
Yeah, I don't check on there.
I'm surprised she didn't know that, but anyway.
But, no. Our members made it very clear that they did not support what Helen Dalton was proposing. We're a membership-based organisation. Our policy is developed through our members.
Claire's probably right, but the reason she's right, well, it'd kind of be better for her if she were wrong. Because I've been informed that the New South Wales irrigators have been hemorrhaging members. Downstream irrigators have been leaving the New South Wales Irrigators Council in droves, further concentrating the membership of the organisation in the camp of northern cotton farmers who would naturally be more opposed to this transparency. I kind of heard from southern irrigators that there's a bit of a civil war happening, and that's affecting your guys' membership because they're kind of breaking away.
No,
Is that what you think's happening?
No, again, I spend a lot of time down in the Southern Basin, and we have many Southern Basin members.
Well, what's the divide between northern and southern irrigators, do you think, in membership? Do you think that you're weighted towards northern irrigators?
No, we're not. When we go through our levy base, no, we're not. We have had a couple of members break away for various reasons, but we still have many levy payers and member organisations.
Yeah. There are quite a few Americans buying their way into Australia at the moment. I've missed I'm trying to keep up with the chat, but it's just scrolling too fast for me. But yes, please keep things respectful and civil.
Basin as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think it's just quite comfortable. We fully represent the whole basin.
Despite assurances to the contrary, the political establishment's abandonment of downstream irrigators is a pervasive message you hear any time you speak to farmers in the south.
Well, the Irrigators Council, certainly the people that are that sit on the Irrigators Council are supposed to represent their part of the world. And what we found on Irrigators Council was certainly weighted very heavily to the northern irrigators. Mm-hmm. And I know that because I used to sit on Irrigators Council. And there's a few people that have got a lot of money, they have a lot of influence, and they'll infiltrate these organisations to get what they want, to be heard. So they're lobbying, and they would be lobbying. They would be. I would think they would be giving money to the National Party or the coalition, either from.
Yeah, we just. I think it's more so we're just reminding everybody that we've just got to be careful. That's all, because there is a fine line between. And somebody did actually state that apparently I was racist. So we're probably a little bit on edge on that as well. So we're just really making sure that anybody that watches this won't get offended either. Because yes. The stuff that I've been accused of since I've been online is quite interesting. Yeah, that's right, EC. I've been accused of all of that, and the worst part was I was actually watching the stream at the time. So yeah. You've not heard me say anything racist. Oh, it doesn't matter. But the thing is, it all comes down to interpretation. So what you might, yes, totally clueless in this chat. Yes. Oh, it was brought up in another chat. So it was, yeah. You've not once sounded racist to me. Yeah, look, as I said, it's just something that's somebody took offence to something. Yes. Some of you don't know this, so now it's known. Just be aware of what has been said. Yeah, it's just been said in other communities, and that's another reason why I've lost some subs, because people have been talking about me not nicely in other communities, which is fine. You're allowed to not like me. But I actually was watching the stream when I was being spoken about. It's actually not a very nice feeling. I also understood how Katie would be interested. Perspective is all well and good, but double check yourselves. Yes. Yep, that's right. The particular person in the instance was out of line. Yes, so if you were in that chat, you would know who it is and what I was talking about. What's not be said if we are. None of it was or is true. That's right. But so we any link to KJ? No. Not this time. But I also know that people, want to. Well, thank you, Trigger Happy. That's very nice of you. So if we look like that we are clamping down on it, we do want to make it really clear, because it's a not very nice accusation to have thrown at you, and that's all. We just want to make sure that everybody is aware that we need to we're not going to, we can't have that. Not that I think that we will, but we need to just remind you. That's all. Because, yeah. All right.
Federal arena, and then somehow that gets divvied up, because there are some rules in state. And giving lots of money to these groups such as New South Wales Farmers, New South Wales Irrigators Council, all those to make sure that they get heard and make sure they get their way. And they have over the years.
Do you think, is it a fair assessment to say that the National Party has kind of left southern New South Wales to the wolves and they're heavily favouring northern New South Wales?
I would think so. And you've only got to be in those towns where, our health services have been declining and continue to decline. They're spending a fair bit of money in National Party seats up there, and almost in some cases.
Sorry, I will leave. No, don't leave, Peter. It's fine. What you may also not know is that Peter got accused of doing things as well. So, as I said, we could be possibly overreacting. However, when you have those accusations thrown at you, you are always on edge. So, that's what I will say. You're always on edge. So, but yeah, please stay, Peter. It's fine. Hello, Jessica. How are you? Haven't seen you for ages. Yeah. As I said, But anyway. Yeah. Yeah, we just chill down. Yes. Someone in chat decided to take it out. Yeah. No. I think we're just we're just trying to make sure that everything that people are aware that we won't let. Yeah. Anyway, it's confusing. Anyway, let's get back to watching this documentary and paying out KJ. Hey, I'd be on edge too. Yeah, so that's why we get a bit toey now, because it's not a very nice accusation to have thrown at you. So No, it's okay. It's fine. We're diverse. We are diverse, and we're going to have different opinions. But I think also, you also have to understand why sometimes we might jump. If we think things are going to get a bit heated, yeah. I'm trying to explain it, but I don't think I am. So let's go back to this.
Particularly even in John Barilaro seat where it's almost gold plated, and we're desperate for a few things in our seat.
Behind the scenes, what you find is very wide, broad agreement that's then not helped by, say, media narratives and some political quarters that would rather try and say, oh no, we're all hopelessly divided, because that's just not what our experience has been.
If somebody's giving them a whole lot of money to advocate for them, that party has taken it, then they're beholden to that group.
Mm.
So these political donations, I think we have to really have a look at, because they're influencing policy. It's randomly, it's like for select groups. You've only got to see that with how DPI Water don't consult with people in the south, even though we're stakeholders in water. They exclude us, and it's deliberate. It's deliberate. So they consult with their friendly people that want something and rubber stamp everything, and that includes Irrigators Council. Oh yeah, they said that. Irrigators Council represent everyone. No, they don't. They do not at all. They certainly don't represent communities at all in the south. And a lot of organisations in the south that were sitting around that table with them have pulled out.
Really?
Well, they spend a lot of money to sit at the table and not getting anything for it. So why sit there?
Why bother?
And when I be there, I'd say, oh my God, why are these organisations spending so much money? Well, giving it to New South Wales Irrigators Council to beat us up and not represent us. Why would we do that?
Helen Dalton's support centres around the agricultural mecca of Griffith. Along with the usual problems downstream towns struggle with, Griffith is facing a unique health crisis, potentially spurred on by water mismanagement. Griffith has 7 times the rate of motor neuron disease compared.
This is really scary, by the way. This is really scary. The membership link should be. It should cycle up. Is it Is it that? I don't know. I'm going to see if it works for me. I don't know what the code is. All right. Oops. Oh, that's it. See?
It's also recently been dealing with a lot of fish kills and blue-green algae blooms in the local lake. The lake, which due to shortages, sometimes becomes the town's water source. Tanya Magocci is a Griffith resident who suffers from motor neuron disease and reckons there's a connection.
You look at all the clusters, there's one here, there's one in Coast Harbour, and then you look at the clusters overseas, all the clusters are with blue-green algae, all of them.
Right. So what is it? What do they think the link is between the two?
The blue-green algae attacks our neurons and kills them in our brain.
From the drinking water?
From even breathing it in. In my household, you don't touch the town water. Everything's bottled. The only thing we use is to shower, but...
And then you close your mouth.
Yeah. Even...
No, that's pretty scary, isn't it?
Brushing our teeth, all bottled water.
Then again, I suppose it doesn't really matter if you're just breathing it in anyway.
Yep.
Brutal. Despite there being simple and cheap measures that could be taken to study and prevent the situation from deteriorating further, the response from the New South Wales and local government has bordered on apathetic to hostile. When you talk to, I'm guessing like local council, What's their response? When it talks about motor neuron disease and the fish kill, what do they say?
Okay, so we brought down the number one professor who works with motor neuron disease. We brought down the two researchers for motor neuron disease down to Griffith. We brought a meeting for all council workers, for the boat people to come. The council came, they lasted not even halfway through the meeting, got up and walked out.
What do you mean they walked out?
They got up and walked out of the meeting and left.
Not because they were busy or something.
No, because they didn't like what the scientists were saying.
On top of this, the New South Wales government has continually refused requests to fund the study.
Victorian government gives them $4 million a year for research.
Uh-huh.
So I've asked our government to match them. Match Victorian government, give us $4 million. No, we get zero. Absolutely nothing.
You don't think it's the fact that if they do prove the link, then all of a sudden they're like liable for cases?
Definitely. But us as patients, like I have support groups, right? Us as patients and us and all the carers, we don't care about suing anyone.
So for some reason my chat's just died. Oh, hello, Jean. Welcome again. I know the chat's disappeared. I don't know where the chat's gone. Yes, Queen Jean. Hello, Poppy says I'm actually having to look at this via my laptop at the moment, my iPad, because the chat's disappeared. I don't know why. If you've burnt yourself, put it under some water. So I'm just trying to get the chat up. All right.
We care about finding out what causes our disease so we can fucking find a treatment. Instead of telling our patients...
Sorry, she swears.
Sorry, you've got motor neuron disease, go home, you're going to die within 1 to 3 years. There's nothing I can do for you. Like, at least we just want to have some hope, for fuck's sake. You know, give us something. We don't care about suing and all that kind of shit. We just want to find out what's going on.
Tanya has become so fed up with the lack of action that she's been doing the government's work for them, regularly collecting urine samples from motor neuron disease sufferers and making the 7-hour trip to Sydney to drop the urine off to Macquarie Uni neuroscientist Jill's.
Yeah, this is really bizarre that they're finding these things. See you, Gail. Have a good sleep. Between Australia and... Oh, of course it is, yeah. It is.
Damn it.
But even like the collection, like I had to collect anyone that's used the vape. So I poured out for people to give me urine samples, which is not nice, but I collected them all. Right, I sent out the tubes. On one morning, I collected them all. I had to drive them all the way to Sydney to get it to Jill's within 24 hours. Right, so
Pressure's on. Yeah.
And I did that out of my own back because they've got no money to do it. And he's doing it, not getting paid. And I just think that's...
And still, possibly the scariest fact about all of this is the council does not alert the people of Griffith when water from Lake Wyangan, possibly tainted from blue-green algae, goes into their homes.
We're not told when there's blue-green algae, bloom algae.
See, that's scary that they're not told. I wonder if there's some type of class action they could do.
Oh, so we've heard.
Right, and we're not told when they give it to our fucking taps in our water, but we turn our taps... We turn the taps on and it's fully brown and it stinks, and we take photos of it and send it to council. Oh, yeah, sorry, we have to take water from the lake. But how about you tell us beforehand?
Unfortunately, motor neuron disease is far from the only health crisis that appears to be exacerbated by water mismanagement.
The Murrumbidgee Health Region, which is from here down to the Murray River, is the highest suicide rate in Australia.
Uh-huh.
And that's just not to be ignored.
Yeah, I reckon so. Poppy seeds. I reckon there's some money. I reckon they're making some money from that. So's the bottled water companies, which is really sad. How's lockdown going, Poppy seeds? Well, wouldn't be the department.
The mental health issues with people under extreme stress. I mean, farmers that have had properties handed down to them by generations through no fault of their own have had the water turned off, and they've invested in irrigation systems with areas, and they don't have any water to grow grass, and they're just going broke, and it kills them. It's just too embarrassing for them to handle. It's worse than that. I know plenty of blokes that are killed in single vehicle accidents just driving into a tree because they want their wife to still get the insurance.
Really?
Yeah, but they don't consider it a suicide. It's a car accident.
No.
But they want their wife to still get the insurance. I mean, that is the level of concern. Blokes are watching their mates closely because farmers are pretty proud people, and they don't want to be embarrassed, by being forced off the land.
How much blame?
No, it's Jessica. No, it's cotton farmers. Free you, Poppy seeds. You're still only having a baby lockdown. You've only got a baby lockdown. When you've hit the 4-month mark, then let's talk, Poppy seeds. It's only it's only a baby lockdown.
Do you put on the crop cotton?
It's not so much the crop cotton that I blame. I blame the leadership in the industry. They've just been absolute cowboys and real sense of entitlement. They take whatever they can get, and they've gone too far. I blame the politicians, and I blame the bureaucrats who facilitate this. There is no question that the amount of cotton we are growing and the amount of water that we are harvesting in the Northern Basin has had a completely destructive, possibly irreversible effect on the ecosystems for the rest of the basin. It is. You've got people in Wilcannia, there are Barkindji there. It's well known that when there's no water, suicide rates, violence, domestic violence, crime, drug use all goes up.
Well, I see. I'm only messing. I just. I do feel for them though. Knowing what it's like. Oh wow, they two never left home yet. Wow, that's amazing. That's unbelievable, Jessica. All right.
When there is water, it all goes down.
As we fly out of Bourke, we're taken over a cotton farm that rivals Cubby in scope. This is Darling Farms, owned by Joe Robinson. It's safe to say that Robinson is an exceedingly wealthy man. In 2018, his farms were set to produce over $70 million worth of cotton. Cotton produced with the help of some of the largest private water storages in the country, and the last water storages before the town of Wilcannia. Wilcannia is a town that sits on the Darling around 200 kilometres east of Broken Hill with a population of 500. Its population has had to bear the brunt of not only the corruption of the national park networks, but wholesale government neglect. Michael Kennedy is a Barkindji man from Wilcannia who has witnessed the decline of the Darling in his lifetime. How old are you now, Michael?
38, mate.
Yeah.
Now, this is for me, this is a really heartbreaking story from this guy. So let's have a listen to what he's got to say.
And you've been here your whole life?
Yeah, lived here all my life. Born on the river here. Yeah, it's been all my life.
Right. When you were a kid, did the river look like that?
Nah, not even close. Mate. When I was a kid growing up, we had consistent flows coming down the river, and it did get low at times, but it was for a short period of time, and then there'd be more water that come down and replenish the river again.
What all this really says is that we need the regulations to reduce license and meter floodplain harvesting to avoid, basically get clarity on this.
But why not just make it illegal?
Because when you get massive floods going through, wouldn't you say it was reasonable for people to be able to take some of that and put it in their storages to tide them over in these drought periods so that they can keep growing some crops?
I don't know. I'm just not a water expert. I don't know. But, it's just... When I see dry riverbeds in Vulcania, I think there's definitely not enough water coming in. And it's getting taken from somewhere. It has to be. It can't just be climate change.
That is most. If it doesn't rain, the rivers don't run. So floodplain harvesting only happens when there's a flood.
Could he get any lower in his chair? I know, I picked that up too. I don't think he's very happy in the conversation. Yes, totally, Clears. I think you're right. Australians do need to take more notice. I think a lot of the place names are Indigenous. But I think that's what they are. They're from...
So if that riverbed is dry, it's because there hasn't been any floods.
Up north, there is a lot of floodplain harvesting. Do you think that the people that are doing this, which is an illegal practice, I guess they're trying to legalise it, but do you think that they think about towns like Vulcania?
Of course not, mate. When it comes to breeds such as that, they don't care about a little small community like Vulcania or Menindee or Tilpa or Louth. We're just a small population caught in the middle of it all, and they really don't care about us.
Yeah. Because you do have a water license, yeah?
There's something. There is a variety. I think there's something like 200 different dialects, I believe. And I could be wrong, but there's a lot of dialects in Australia in the Aboriginal community. Could floodwaters go into community-based dam? Well, that would make the most logical sense, John Fox, but it's not likely to happen because it's common sense. But I actually had a similar thought.
Yeah, we do have a small water license on one of the properties. We have more one, but we could use that to sell water, but we choose not to because we just feel that it's wrong and it's just helping into killing the river system.
There's this fatalistic line that the Irrigators Council take, and that is that the decline is the natural order of things, and all that can be done is legalise taking more water. This line becomes more and more absurd as you talk to people who live in the basin. Even more absurd when you contrast Vulcania with the great wealth of men just upstream like Joe Robinson, who's probably richer than the entire town. Is there aquatic life in it anymore?
There is. There's still aquatic life in it, but it's becoming more rarer.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Used to be over 200. Oh, okay, so I wasn't far off, Marmaduke. I don't know. I don't have chat on my screen. I'm on my iPad to read the chat, so...
We get little fish out of it now, and it takes a lot longer, to get a feed of fish or yabbies or whatever out of it because it's just not the flows coming down anymore to replenish everything.
Right. So back when you were a kid, you could just live off the river if you wanted.
Yeah, that's what we basically did. We barely lived out of the shop. I remember my old grandmother, she'd only go to the shop just to buy something. vegetables and stuff like that. The meat, we basically got out of the river, kangaroo off the land, but fish was in our diet, 3-4 times a week, consistently throughout the year. Yeah.
And what is it now?
Well, I had a feed of fish probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago. That was my first feed of fish in about 8 months or so.
So, does anyone eat fish on a weekly basis now, or is it just that's the norm?
That's the new norm. That's the new normal. It's rare now that we get a feed of fish, and when we do get these little bits of ride, what we call shut up water, we try to get down as much as we can and get as much feed of fish as we can, because we know it's not going to last long like it used to.
Now that's really sad. That's the original owners of the land not being able to eat or feed the way that they have for their whole time. I feel like I'm going to be talking about this crisis to people in America. Yes. Yeah, it's pretty scary. It's a pretty scary crisis, actually.
Perhaps the only reason people know about Wilcannia is its life expectancy. The number's so low that they not only rival the poorest and most war-torn countries in the world, Wilcannia beats them by over a decade.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's around 37.8 for a male and around 40 odd for a female.
Yeah.
So it is horrendous. And,
yeah.
I look at that and I think that the river has a big part to do with that, because, again, when I was a kid growing up, we spent hours and hours in the river. We were swimming, we was catching fish, we was eating traditional foods that are so healthy for you. And then the physical and mental side of it, of being able to come down and just spend hours in the river swimming for non-stop, hours.
And I find that also really horrifying, that their life expectancy is horrible. How is this allowed to even happen? Mr. Obvious, has Joanne noticed we're trying to get him into politics? Wow. I wouldn't be opposed to it, as long as I don't have to align myself with any party.
How good is that for a young man or woman to just be able to swim for hours and take a feed of fish home, and after doing all that physicality in the river, going home, having a good feed of some good healthy food, traditional food, it was the best feeling ever. And, so it plays a major...
Look at that. That's floodwaters. Look at that water. That's a river. Isn't it disgusting? Look at that.
A major part in, us as Aboriginal people living on the river here, with health and the life expectancy. Like I said, in all them areas, it plays a major part to the river system.
You might be thinking, what is the Bereshit Land government doing to help these people?
Yeah. So that was the overflow of floodwaters.
You'd be forgiven for thinking nothing, as she indignantly refused to visit Menindee during the fish kills and never steps foot in Wilcannia.
Wentworth Shire, similarly on water restrictions in comparison. Menindee has a population of around 300 and they're at level 1.
Do you think that there's any government officials that listen?
Yes, that was a dry riverbed floodwater, yes.
To this town's concerns, or do you think that they're all ignoring you? Is there any standout ones that are helping?
No, look, I couldn't really say off the top of my head if there was a standout one, but, we've had certain departments come out here, and for me, I feel like once they get back on that highway and go back to wherever they come from, it sort of stops there, because there's no consistency with, keeping us up to date out here on what's going on, and, the things that we'd like to see change with the rivers so we can have more consistent flows come down. Like, we just feel like that when they walk out the door, it's left there and that's it. And for us, that's heartbreaking. It's frustrating, because it's our people that's suffering, and they don't understand or realise how much we are suffering because of the river.
Despite it sitting on the Darling, over the past few years, Wilcannia was out of water.
So they ran out of water. And that used to be full.
I think for any town, let alone one with a life expectancy that low, there'd be some sort of government response. I heard that the government had to start shipping in bottled water. Is that true?
Shipping in water is the true part, but it wasn't the government that did it. It was, some kind, generous people that donated quite a fair bit of water to us here for a bit of a lengthy time.
How long's a lengthy time?
Just going on memory, I reckon it was around 5-6 months, maybe a bit longer, mate.
6 months?
Yeah, that we were on donated water for. So, yeah, living on the river and being, getting water donated to you, there's something pretty wrong.
Yeah, it's an irony, isn't it?
Living on the river and having to have donated water.
Yeah, and also the community, when the river gets too low, it lives off bore water. The Shire Council, has got a couple of bores set up downstream further that they have to pump out of it to keep the town's flow of water up to it. We've never ever had to experience that before. A community living on the river have to rely on bore water. They were only put in recently, the bores. So again, you can see the effect that all this irrigating and everything else. You can see the effect that it's got on the river system when river towns are relying on charities and stuff to donate water to us, and we have to live on bore water.
And phenomenal that the government, even though I thought that this might have just been for 2 weeks, and even that would have been horrendous, but the government didn't do anything about it for 6 months after visiting Wilcannia.
Right, so, yeah, nothing happened for 6 months.
It seems unconscionable to defend taking more water upstream, or even the amount that's taken now. Yet the Irrigators Council continues to argue in favour of legalising floodplain harvesting, a main argument of theirs being, if it's legalised, it'll be under cap. Mary Ann Slattery's research has exposed this to be a blatant mistruth. Tell us how they fudge the numbers of water.
There's lots and lots of ways that they fudge the numbers, but I'll give you one that's relevant to floodplain harvesting. So the government has never measured floodplain harvesting and has allowed floodplain harvesting to grow, and they admit that. And they say that while we've let it grow, we're going to issue licences and we're going to reduce those licences back to a legal limit. Now that legal limit is something that was set under either the Murray-Darling Basin cap, which is the limit at 1994, or the limit in the New South Wales water sharing plans. So they've made a big song and dance about how we're reducing floodplain harvesting.
Oh, he was timed out. Whoopsies. He said the B word. Whoopsies. Oh, dear.
It's grown, we're reducing it back to legal limits, but they just changed the legal limits.
Really?
Yes, they tell everybody the legal limit is 450 when really the legal limit is 320. And they say, aren't we great? This is one example. Aren't we great because we reduced the number, floodplain harvesting number from 170 to 100 odd, when actually they've increased it from 18 odd up to 100 odd. And this is just one example of what they do throughout everything to do with water, but it's very relevant for floodplain harvesting because they're just conning everybody about what the legal limits are and what they're reducing water to, when they're actually allowing a huge increase in growth and hoping that nobody will notice.
The New South Wales Department of Planning, Industry and Environment, DPIE, say that the average extractions, including floodplain harvesting, is 480 gigalitres in the Guaidia Valley. They admit this exceeds cap, which they say is 431 gigalitres. They say legalising floodplain harvesting will cut licences back to cap, constituting a cut to irrigation by 49 gigalitres. However, their number for cap, 431 gigalitres, is completely invented. The official cap is 350 gigalitres. So instead of reducing take by 49 gigalitres, they've actually added 81 gigalitres. No wonder the world of water has been described as post-truth.
What's your view on cap? Do you believe floodplain harvesting, if it's regulated, do you believe?
Yeah, but that's Christo. He got arrested. You know, by the goon squad.
It will be cap.
Okay, the way the cap works, it's on all diversions. Okay, so so what it means is that you've got general security licences already in all of those valleys. Okay, you're allowed to take under that. You've got supplementary licences as well. Okay, with every year they determine how much they're allowed to take under those. And then if it floods, you'll have a licence to be able to take a certain volume if and when it floods. Collectively, all those together will need to be under cap. The growth in floodplain harvesting over the last 20 years, when it floods, means that that take has been above cap, that total take. So that's what the licensing is about, is to pull it back.
So when it is licensed to pay regulations, will it be under cap?
Yes, we expect so.
It appears proponents of floodplain harvesting are not only indifferent to the suffering they cause, but are willing to discard facts to advance their case. Here's New South Wales Nationals Water Minister Melinda Pavey doing exactly that in an ABC article that perpetuates the mistruth.
Yeah, I think you're right, Poppy Seeds. I think if he plays his cards right, he will be set. Unintended by Brus benefits, yes.
And it's not like these are harmless mistakes or even harmless lies. The government's manipulation of numbers will have dire consequences. This is a brutal question, but what happened to the elderly when the flow started dying?
Well, it makes them sick because they don't, again, they've lived on this type of food for many, many years. When they don't have access to that food, they've got to adjust their body, I guess, to new food sources. And, we feel like that food is not, or their body is not acceptable to that type of food. And they become sicker a lot quicker.
Yeah. What about the land animals? Have they decreased?
They have decreased.
So there's less kangaroos?
Yeah.
Less bird life?
Yep. There's definitely less bird life, less kangaroos get around the area. Kookaburras, the same, you rarely ever see kookaburras now. And as we stand here right now, talking to you, it's like, once upon a time you did kookaburras all up and down this river singing out and carrying.
Yeah.
And, we've been here for a little while now and we haven't heard one or seen one. So
yeah, you're right.
It does.
See, now that you mention it, it's like eerily quiet here.
Yeah, that's the effect that it has. Like and us, again, as Aboriginal people, we are linked to everything. We are linked to the river, we are linked to the bird life, the animal life on the land.
So what are you thinking at the moment? It's quite sad. Let me see, except to toe the corporate line for most part might be allowed. Start his own website and channel, yes.
Our spirits and our dreaming, our stories are all about the river and everything that evolves around the river. It has an impact on everything and everyone around the river.
Before we flew over these cotton farms, Chris, our pilot, was threatened. Someone threatened to shoot his plane out of the sky if they saw it flying over their property. The person that threatened Chris was a man by the name of Jim Cush, a cotton farmer from the Guaidia. Jim Cush also happens to be the chairman of New South Wales Irrigators Council and Claire Miller's colleague. Flying over his property, we realised why he was so averse to having anyone see it. According to Slattery, most of the water in storages in the Guaiti, where Jim's property was located, had to have come from floodplain harvesting. There were full dams at the end of the season. The Guaiti irrigators used less than half of their river and aquifer allocations. That is, the rest had to have come from floodplain harvesting. Here's Jim's cotton, green storage is full. So to end our interview with Claire, we decided to ask her about her thoughts on Jim Cush. We were flying over some of the properties in the north, and we went past like the CEO Jim Cush's. Oh, sorry, yeah, it was the chair. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, Jim Cush's. I'm talking to the CEO.
Sorry, when did you fly over?
About a couple of months ago, maybe, something like that. And yeah, they were just pointing it out, and there was just so much water stored on the property.
And what are you suggesting that it was?
I don't know, it's just like, it should, like, here's a photo of it. Like, this can't be natural.
I love how she tries to deflect it. Much more to this documentary that can be truly understood in one view, and this video documentary can be outlast 3 viewings. Yes, so I'm going to put the link to the actual documentary in the chat underneath, so you can go watch it again without me talking over it.
Like, look at that. And if that's like, if the Department of Industry...
Look at those dams, how full the dams are.
And environment, it's just like, they're the ones that are saying you shouldn't be doing this.
I'm sorry, but
should we just be abiding by that?
That water that's sitting in there is water that would have been accessed from general security allocations and supplementary, and there would be some, possibly from some of the localised floods and things, some flood water. NRA visits this property all the time. So,
but hypothetically, if we could prove that it wasn't, but if we could prove that it wasn't...
There's no hypothetical about proving that it wasn't.
But if it wasn't, would you support that?
We support legally accessed water.
So if it's illegally accessed water, you wouldn't approve of it?
Are you suggesting that water was illegally accessed?
He just wants to throw... he's very frustrated, isn't he? He just wants to... He's not happy.
Other people are.
Well, other people can say that, but let's say NRA inspects Jim's property regularly. It's such a high-profile person. That water is accessed legally. Just because people say things and want it to be true doesn't make it true.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Just because people say things and want it to be true doesn't make it true. I think this video has proven that quote best applies to the National Party, New South Wales government, or anyone claiming floodplain harvesting is legal or even moral, because we can't live without water. Suicide, health crises, economic depression, food shortages, extinctions, and ecological step changes, all just collateral damage in the National Party's handling of water in this country, and it's not going to get better until they're out of office. Share this doco with anyone you know who might even be slightly concerned with the future of Australia. Follow Mary Ann's firm, Slattery & Johnson, on social media, and if you can, throw them some money. They're doing exceptional research on the Murray-Darling Basin. Their research seems to be some of the only stuff that holds the government to account. Links are in the description. Also, speaking of holding the government to account, there's a New South Wales upper house inquiry on floodplain harvesting going on, and they're accepting submissions. Feel free to let them know your thoughts. And if you can, please become a Patreon supporter.
Right now, so now he's going to talk about the legal case.
As if you didn't know already, we're fighting multiple civil and criminal legal battles instigated by the leader of the New South Wales National Party, John Barilaro. These abuses of the law by the Deputy Premier are attempts to censor us and shut down videos like this. This video was slated to come out much earlier until my producer Christo was violently arrested by a terror unit. That's how evil the National Party is. Not only have they caused the bulk of the problems examined in this video, but they use secret police to intimidate journalists that expose that fact. Helen Dalton, who deals with the Nationals daily, knows their tactics and predicted this. It's only thanks to your continued financial support that they won't be successful in shutting us up. The Nationals do not care about farmers. They do not care about regional towns. They do not care about Australians. What they do care about is themselves. They are pigs, and the Murray-Darling is their trough.
So there you go. That is, so as I said, I'm going to put a link for that in the description bar, because we need to get more views for that. We need more views for this video. We need more people watching this, and we need to have, but yeah, it's very disturbing. I was very disturbed when I watched it, I have to say. Yeah. For me, it was the part where there's something kind of sad about FJ wanting to turn the Nationals' lifeblood voters against him. There is, isn't there? He is cheeky, talking about Bruz without talking about him. It is very, very, very cheeky. It is very cheeky. Okay. Well, I'm just going to put that into the chat. I know that you want me to do. I know you want me to talk about Pauline Hanson. I'll have to defer Pauline Hanson to tomorrow, and that's only because I'm I've got an early start in the morning, and I have to get up early. So I'll put the documentary in the chat. So as I said, please go watch it again and give some support. Get some views. Share it with all your friends, because this issue needs to be talked about. I mean, it'd be really good if this issue started getting traction even from overseas. What is my party going to be called? I was thinking the JC party. I don't know. I don't know what my party's going to be called. Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to head off now. So tomorrow night we will definitely talk about Pauline Hanson. I'll give you an introduction into Pauline Hanson. That's going to be interesting. JC works a bit cheeky. I know it does work. I know it does work. That's why I've done it. It does fly in a live stream, doesn't it? How long have we been going for? 2 hours. Yeah. Have a good day tomorrow, Poppy Seeds. But don't you like not having to get dressed? That's what I really like. That's my favourite part, is not having to get dressed. So, hey, I think I've got chat back up. I think. Don't point to me. Yeah. No, that's all right. I'll keep it all going. Pauline Pants down. Yeah, we'll look at some Pauline Hanson stuff. Oh, it's working again. Chat's working again. You could call it walk party duty. Oh, yeah, I could say it, do that. Look, it's working again. Yay! Only took me to the end of the stream to get it working. I want to go to... So more than 200 views since dropping. That's cool. It needs to have a lot more. Well, when they put the 5K bubble on us initially, my parents were within 5Ks, so I was lucky. Yay, look, it's working again. Yay! Yeah. All right. So yes. So I've put the documentary in the description. Please, as I said, go watch it again. Like it. Just yeah. Let's get some action done. Let's really put some pressure on the on bras, because yeah, it's not good enough. It's just not good enough, in my opinion. All right, so I will catch you all tomorrow. Okay, and hopefully these antibiotics will start making me feel good again. I just want to feel good again. It was a great documentary, wasn't it? All right. Thank you, everybody. Trigger happy you enjoy the rest of your birthday. See ya.